Imagine this for a second. You walk onto a movie set, it's 1967, it's lunchtime. You go into the commissary, you grab a tray, and you're just looking for a place to sit.
Okay.
And as you look around the room, you see something. Something really unsettling. All these people, hundreds of them, they're not sitting with their friends.
Hmm.
Without anyone saying a word, no memo, nothing from the director, the entire room has just segregated itself. The actors in gorilla costumes are all at tables with other gorillas.
Go away.
The chimpanzees are all bunched together. And the orangutans, they're off in their own corner, keeping their distance from everybody else.
So it was based on the masks they were wearing.
Entirely on the rubber masks. It wasn't a rule. It wasn't method acting. It was this instinctive, subconscious split. It's just a chilling sign that the movies, themes, prejudice, caste systems, they weren't just in the script. They were actually bleeding into reality.
Hello and welcome to Entre, Líneas. We are peeling back the layers of cinema today, really getting into the mechanics of a masterpiece.
We're stripping away the surface to see what makes a film tick, and today we are tackling an absolute giant, the 1968 classic, Planet of the Apes, directed by Franklin J. Schaffner.
And this is the film that really proved science fiction didn't have to be, kid stuff.
Right.
Before this, the genre was mostly flying saucers, rubber monsters.
Stomping on Tokyo. Yeah.
Exactly.
Huh.
This film proved sci-fi could be serious, it could be political, and frankly, existentially terrifying.
And so relevant, even now. But just to get everyone on the same page, the premise is pretty simple, but devastating. The year for the audience is 68, but for the characters, it's 3978.
Way in the future.
Charlton Heston plays George Taylor, an astronaut who crashes on this unknown planet where the whole evolutionary ladder has just been flipped upside down. Apes are the masters. Humans, they're just mute, primitive cattle.
It sounds like a great setup now, because we know it works. But that brings us to the first huge problem. This movie, it almost didn't get made. Hollywood was completely terrified of this script.
And not because of the budget, which is usually the big dream killer.
No, not at all. They were terrified of the giggle factor.
It's a giggle factor.
It's a real thing. You have to remember the context of the late 60s. Up to that point, a man in a monkey suit was, well, it was a joke.
It's the Wizard of Oz, right?
It's the Wizard of Oz. It's slapstick. The executives at Fox were just convinced that the second a monkey opened his mouth to say something serious, the whole audience would just burst out laughing.
And the movie's dead on arrival. You can't have this dark dystopian drama if everyone thinks it's a comedy. So the producer, Arthur P. Jacobs, he had to do something pretty drastic.
He had to prove the concept would work before they even filmed a single reel frame.
So what did he do?
He spent $5,000, which was real money back then, of his own cash to shoot one test scene. He got Charlton Heston, of course, but for Dr. Zaius, the orangutan leader, he didn't just get some random actor. He cast Edward G. Robinson.
Wow. Little Caesar himself. That's such a strange choice on paper.
But it was genius. They put some, pretty crude makeup on him, filmed the scene, and the result was just electric. Robinson was so grounded, so intense, that nobody at the studio laughed.
So that test scene saved the whole project.
It's the only reason Fox gave them the green light. They basically said, okay, if Edward G. Robinson can make a monkey dignified, maybe we actually have a movie here.
But here's the twist, right? Edward G. Robinson, even after nailing that test scene, he's not in the movie.
Yeah, he dropped out. And this really gets to the physical reality of this production, which we're going to talk about a lot. Robinson had a heart condition.
Ah.
He realized during that test that sitting in a makeup chair for hours and hours, breathing through glue and latex, it was just going to be physically impossible for him.
That's a huge what-if for cinema history. Instead, we got Maurice Evans, a Shakespearean actor who gave Dr. Zaius that incredible pompous gravity. But, the script also went through some massive changes.
Oh, yeah.
The whole setting of the film changed because of real-world limits.
Right. If you've read the original novel by Pierre Boulle, the Ape Society is supposed to be super advanced. We're talking helicopters, glass skyscrapers, cars.
It's basically New York City, but run by apes.
Exactly. And Rod Serling, from The Twilight Zone, he wrote the early drafts. He wanted to keep that high-tech vision.
But I'm guessing the studio saw the price tag for that?
They looked at it and said, absolutely not. They gave the production about $5.8 million. That was it. You can't build a futuristic metropolis on that budget.
So necessity becomes the mother of invention, as they say.
Right. They bring in another writer, Michael Wilson, and he just says, okay, we can't afford the future. Let's make them primitive. Mud huts, horses, simple tools.
And that one financial decision accidentally created the film's entire aesthetic. That dusty, ancient look, it makes it feel
It
timeless.
totally does. If they had done the high-tech version with 1960s special effects, it would look so dated today. Just laughable.
It grounds it, makes it feel more post-apocalyptic than just sci-fi. Okay, so they solved the sets, but then they ran into the biggest problem of all, the faces. Because if the makeup doesn't work,
The whole movie falls apart. And this is where we meet the real unsung hero of this film, John Chambers.
Chambers' backstory is fascinating. He wasn't just a Hollywood guy, he was a medical technician. During World War II, he worked in hospitals, literally repairing the faces of wounded soldiers.
He was making prosthetics for veterans. He understood anatomy in a way that nobody else in Hollywood did. He knew how skin moved.
Right. But for him, prosthetic makeup was basically just a stiff mask.
You couldn't really emote. But Chambers developed a new kind of foam latex that was porous. It let the skin breathe, which was huge.
So the actors wouldn't pass out from heat stroke.
And crucially, it let sweat escape. And he ran the whole department like an assembly line. He trained almost 100 artists. He actually won an honorary Oscar for it because the best makeup category didn't even exist yet.
Yeah.
He literally invented the standard.
But just because it was a technical marvel, it doesn't mean it was comfortable.
Oh, absolutely not. It was a complete nightmare. Which brings us to what the cast called the straw diet.
The straw diet. Sounds unpleasant.
It was torture. The makeup took 3 to 6 hours to apply.
Yeah.
Every single morning. And once those prosthetic jaws were glued on, that was it for the day. You couldn't just pop them off for a sandwich.
So lunch was a smoothie.
Lunch was a smoothie, through a straw. For months, they had to liquefy all their food. And for the actors who smoked, which was basically everyone in 1968, they had to use these absurdly long cigarette holders.
They keep the heat away from the latex.
Exactly. So they wouldn't literally melt their own faces off.
The glamour of Hollywood, right.
Yeah.
But for some actors, it was more than just an inconvenience. It was psychologically brutal.
We have to talk about Kim Hunter, who played Dr. Zira. She gives this incredibly warm performance, but she suffered from severe claustrophobia.
Which has to be the worst possible phobia to have on that set.
She said it felt like being buried alive. Every single morning, just to get into the makeup chair, she had to take a Valium. She had to be sedated, just to endure the feeling of having her face covered in rubber.
And you see none of that panic on screen. It's just a testament to her as an actor.
It really is.
So the makeup is a prison, but then you step outside and you're not on some comfortable studio lot. You're in actual hell.
Hell, also known as Lake Powell, Arizona, in the middle of summer.
Yeah, that opening sequence with the astronauts trekking through the desert, that wasn't a set, that was real, and it was brutal.
The temperatures hit 49 degrees Celsius. That's 120 Fahrenheit. It was so hot people were just fainting. The terrain was so rough they had to airlift equipment in with helicopters or carry cameras on mules.
And John Chambers' brilliant makeup, even that had its limits.
Oh yeah. At 120 degrees, the glue just starts to fail. The faces were literally sliding off the actors.
So what did he do?
He invented refrigerated trailers. These huge mobile freezers. Between takes, the actors in full fursuits would have to run into these freezers to basically solidify their faces again.
From 120-degree heat into a freezer and back again. All day.
It's insane. And when you see them sweating and miserable on screen, they are not acting. They're just trying to survive.
Which brings me to Charlton Heston. There's that one moment, the chase scene, where he's captured.
And he finally speaks.
Get your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape.
The rasp in his voice there is just... it's so chilling. It sounds guttural.
And that's because Heston was genuinely sick. He had a raging flu during that entire sequence. He was running a fever. He was exhausted. That ragged, hoarse quality in his voice, that wasn't an acting choice. That was the flu.
It's a perfect example of how misery on set can sometimes create magic on screen. It just grounded everything in this visceral reality.
And it wasn't all just suffering. There was some absurdity, too. We have to talk about the music for a second. Jerry Goldsmith's score is weird.
It's avant-garde. It's amazing. He used ram's horns and stainless steel mixing bowls. He wanted it to sound like nothing from Earth.
And to get into the spirit of it all, Goldsmith actually conducted the orchestra while wearing a gorilla mask.
I love that. Can you imagine being a violinist in that orchestra? You look up for your cue, and you just see a gorilla waving a baton at you.
It's the perfect image for this whole surreal production. But let's circle back to where we started, to the lunch break. Because that detail really sticks with me.
The self-segregation.
Yeah. Heston and Kim Hunter, they both talked about this for years. It wasn't just apes versus humans. It was specific. The gorillas who played the soldiers, they formed their own aggressive little clique.
And the chimpanzees, who were the intellectuals in the script, they ate together and chatted.
And the orangutans, the aristocracy, they sat apart from everyone, acting superior. Heston called it spooky.
It's like the class system in the script was contagious. You put a mask on someone that says, I am a leader, and they subconsciously just adopt that tribalism.
It's like the Stanford prison experiment, but with monkey masks.
Exactly. It shows how easily we just slip into these roles and hierarchies. The movie's about prejudice, and the set became a living laboratory for it.
And speaking of things that happened on set that weren't in the script, the trial scene. The three judges.
The three orangutans, right?
At one point, they cover their eyes, ears, and mouth. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. It's such a great visual.
And it was completely improvised. The director and the actors were just messing around on set, and someone suggested it as a joke. But test audiences loved it so much they kept it in.
Incredible. Now, we have to talk about the ending. The big one. The one everyone knows.
Statue of Liberty.
Taylor on the beach, she sees the ruins, realizes he's not on an alien planet. He's been on Earth the whole time. It's one of the greatest twists in history. But it wasn't the only ending they considered.
No, not at all. There were other versions that would have completely changed the meaning of the film. In some of the early scripts, the character Nova, the human woman, was pregnant.
That changes everything.
It does. If she's pregnant with Taylor's child, the ending is about hope. It's about the rebirth of humanity. It suggests a future.
But the studio killed it.
They did. They felt it was too soft. They wanted the despair. They wanted the punch in the gut.
Which leads to the other alternative, the book's ending.
Right. In Pierre Boulle's novel, the hero actually escapes. He gets in his ship, flies all the way back to Earth, lands at an airport in Paris, and he's greeted by a jeep being driven by a gorilla.
So the twist in the book is that the cycle just happened everywhere.
Exactly. The book is about the cyclical nature of civilization. It's inevitable, but the movie. By ending with the Statue of Liberty, it changes the theme entirely. It's not about evolution. It's about destruction.
You maniacs, you blew it up.
It becomes a specific Cold War anxiety, it says. We didn't just evolve out of power. We nuked ourselves back to the Stone Age, and the apes just took over what was left. That shift from satire to a nuclear warning. That's why the film hits so hard.
It just brings us right back to the beginning, doesn't it? Just like the actors on set proved we're slaves to our social structures, the film proves that humanity just carries the seeds of its own destruction. We build our own cages, whether they're made of latex or ideology.
And that leaves us with a question for you to think about. Which ending is actually more terrifying? The books, where you can't escape the cycle of history, or the movies, where you realize there is no home left to go back to because we already burned it down.
That's definitely something to chew on. If you want to dive even deeper into the sequels, the TV show, you can head over to the Entre Líneas members area. We've got some exclusive content there for the true film buffs.
Indeed. There's always more to discover.
See you in the next reel.